Sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live with Dan Roebuck, pleased to say, alongside me, Nigel Seeley. Over the course of the next half hour or so, we'll be talking our way through the UEFA Nations League action. Obviously, it's the final round of matches today. And we'll have some trends and some stats and some thoughts on the South American World Cup qualifiers as well. And we want your input as per usual. The comments are open. A very good day to Rick and to Disky and to Chris as well, who have logged on nice and early. Nigel, how are you?
I'm very well. I love the theme music. I'm always excited to see which theme music is coming out. And a bit of reggae, get me in the mood. We've not got reggae's kind of weather. It's not like Jamaican kind of like weather going. It's freezing, it's cold. It's not kind of weather. And the weather across Europe this evening is absolutely drastic as well, which is going to come into my kind of picks today. So, if you like your football, beautiful game, lots of goals, lots of high scoring, you've come to the wrong place. I'd suggest you leave this show now and go and find somewhere else, because this is going to be dull. It's going to be boring, and it's going to be what's going to happen on the football pitch later on, because that theme music got me into that reggae move, the beach. But no, it's nothing like that across Europe this evening.
Very good day to you. Ginepi and Duncan have just joined us as well. Disky says Big Boss Nigel is in the house. Yes, everyone's got to be on their best behaviour. Steve came on pre-show and then disappeared. He's struggling with a bit of cold, isn't he, Steve? He sounded like Sean Dyche when I spoke to him earlier. He's struggling a bit, the boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's a big Yorkshireman. I'm sure he'll be used to this weather. I mean, this is the trouble. When it gets to -2 degrees and he's out swimming outdoors and he's sunbathing in this kind of weather, that's what gets you. If you're a Yorkshire boy, this is a hot day for him. So let's not too worry about Steve. But where did he go? He disappeared quite early. I didn't see him.
In and out. No just one thing that I want to cover off before we get into the soccer today. We didn't really talk about it yesterday, and it was the Paul Tyson fight. We know we're a few days after this. We had some really good fun with it on Friday ahead of the fight. But we just got some figures through, or some information through from our team at Bet Rivers, and they told us that the Paul Tyson bout was the most wagered on and second most popular boxing match in the history of Bet Rivers online sportsbook. 59% money line money was on Jake Paul, 73% of the tickets on Mike Tyson, and the bout was responsible for over 20% of the entire 2024 boxing handle. Just goes to show, Nigel, that when things are hyped, when you get opinion, when it's different generations, when it captures the public imagination, doesn't really matter what the bout is. It's just if you can hit that zeitgeist, then potentially you can take some money.
Yeah, the promotion for the Steve Wiss, Simon Holden bout in the New Year is coming on quite well, and I think that'll break all records, to be perfectly honest with you. But to be fair, though, listen, I said about that fight, I thought we might trade the draw, look at the draw, but my wife actually was going to a dog show. We have a dog, we show our dog, and she was off going to a dog show in the morning, and she left at about 4:30 in the morning, and I said, I might as well watch the fight when it comes on. As soon as Mike Tyson walked into the ring, I thought, hang on a minute, he's in trouble here. So I actually bet Jake Paul at -185, I think, going into the ring. And then after round one, he was down to -150. People were getting involved. And then after round 2, round 3, it was all over. But to be fair, it's a bit of a farce, isn't it? I vowed not to have a bet. So I'm not going to have a bet on this fight. Not going to have a bet on it at all. As soon as I walk him in the ring with a leg brace on as well, like, hang on a minute, this is free money. So yeah, I did get involved, I'm afraid.
Look, everyone got involved. It was one of those, everyone was having a little bit of a bet. Steve says Wiss is on the tractor down at the farmers' protest in London at the moment. Ming says hi, Dan and Nigel. Paul, hiya, Paul. Good morning, lads. Who sang that theme song the other day? Hedging is for gardeners. Was it Jack Wright? It might have been. He's a vegetarian after all. So
he likes his gardeners. Well, I don't know if it was actually singing. I think it was RJ. I think he's got a new album coming out, and he'll be back promoting it next week.
Duncan says the 0-0 alert, the 0-0 detector is going to be out shortly. We shall see. Before we get into the soccer, notable Monday winners and losers. Some big wagers from our friends at Bet Rivers taken over the course of the last 24 hours or so. $13,000 on the Texans, which was the winner, -120 on the money line, draw no bet. Also on the handicap as well, -6, a 12,000 wager, which was the winner against the Cowboys, of course. Texans very popular, as were the Warriors, an 11,000 play on the Warriors against the Clippers. That was a loss. So plenty of money flying around over the course of the last 24 hours. And there's been decent wagers as well when it comes to the Nations League action that we've got coming your way tonight. We've got 8 games that we're going to talk our way through, not necessarily have plays in all of them. We want your input as per usual. So tell us what you fancy in the comments and we will relay your thoughts as we go. Nigel, Slovakia, Estonia, Sweden, Azerbaijan, all in the same group here. Sweden already top. Slovakia confirmed in second. Estonia are going to be third, Azerbaijan fourth. So on the face of it, nothing to play for here. And we've got 2 short price favourites, Slovakia -420 and Sweden -770 here for this particular section. I mean, we were just talking off air here. Some players are going to be rested. Team news, team lineups is going to be key for this particular group. Any sort of ins when it comes to Slovakia, Estonia or Sweden, Azerbaijan?
No one's ever asked me if we've got any kind of ins on Slovakia or Estonia. It's one of the first times I've ever been answered that question, probably one of the last times ever. Have you got any ins in Slovakia or Estonia? No, I haven't, to be really honest with you. But what I do in these kind of matches, obviously, the first thing you have to do is look at the importance of the matches. You've got a lot of heavy favourites, as you said there. There's a lot of teams that have got literally nothing to play for. Whether you take the heavy minus money about these teams tonight, I think it's going to be very trappy. I don't know which one of them is going to get turned over. One of them will get turned over at -$4 or -9 or -8. There'll be a draw in one of these matches, or maybe in the defeat. I think it's very hard. If you're doing parlays with these heavy favourites, I think you need to think again. And the other thing, we joke about it, but the weather across Europe is awful. It's bad in London. It's been raining. It's freezing cold. We had snow this morning here. And what I've done is I've gone across to through all the different venues tonight, looked at the different weather forecasts, and there is a lot of rain. There's a lot of snow. There's a lot of bad weather across Europe tonight. And in Slovakia, there's a lot of bad weather today for this match against Estonia. So that obviously brings in unders. The motivation is going to be questionable. This match here, if you look at the record this season, I mean, Estonia have been absolutely dreadful. They've only won 1 in their last 15 matches, and that was against Azerbaijan in their home match here. Estonia, they don't score goals. They've only scored 1 goal in their last 6 international matches, Estonia. So this is a poor match. I mean, sorry, Estonia have only won 1 in their last 15. So this is a poor match. We would get 2 sides that are really bang average. You've got to edge towards the home side at -420. You've got to edge towards under 2.5 goals. It's a difficult match to really call. Under 2.5 goals here is +107. I mean, really, in bad conditions in the last dead rubber, really is should under 2.5 goals be the big outsider. I was also looking at Slovakia to win to 0 here, because Estonia do not score any goals and they don't win many matches. It's only a lean. There's about much better bets to come, but the weather forecast is poor. 2 very poor teams with absolutely nothing to play for. There's better bets on the card, but if you need to have a wager on this match, we're looking for a little wager on the match. I'd be leaning towards Estonia to win to Slovakia, to win to 0, which is around about -125. On the Bet Rivers website, you have to do the parlay, which is the money line for Slovakia and Estonia under a half a goal, or even just the under 2.5 goals at +107. I don't see Estonia scoring. Slovakia will rest players. They'll give debuts to people in the second half. It could be a 1-0, 2-0 Slovakia win. That's the kind of game I'm expecting this match. But I do think that the rain will play going to play a factor in this match. And it's heavy rain around Europe, as I said.
Yeah, Janepi and Dean Blake like Slovakia to 0 as well. That seems to be a little bit of a theme there. Most of the money has gone on Slovakia. Most of the money has gone on the overs as well, incidentally. We can see that it's short at -30 at 139, over 2.5. Sweden, Azerbaijan, Nigel, is interesting. There's going to be a lot of focus on the goal scorers, but it's one of those things we just don't know if they're going to play. Gyökeres and Isak have been in brilliant form. Gyökeres is -180 to score. Isak is +105 just to score. Then you get to sort of 2 goals or more, you're looking at plus 265 for Gyökeres and plus 480 for Isak. They both scored in the reverse fixture. They were both on target, I think, at the weekend. But as you were saying, we just don't know if they're going to play, because if they are going to play, you'd like to bet them against Azerbaijan to get the back of the net, wouldn't you?
Well, if you do a little bit of research today, and I've done a little bit of research on this match, every news report on every predicted teams hasn't got Gyökeres in the side. He doesn't feature. So that is interesting to me in itself. And that is where I'm going to go with this bet, because I think we've got a good bet anyway. But without Gyökeres in the side, we've got a fantastic bet. And my bet here in this match is Isak to score at any time at minus 110. If he doesn't play Gyökeres, then Isak will obviously move because he'll take penalties. He will then be the main strike threat, and he'll probably move to minus $2. If he does play, he's still going to be minus 110. So my angle here is Isak to score. I wouldn't be rushing to bet Sweden on the Asian handicap lines here. I wouldn't be rushing to bet them on the money line. Certainly not on minus 910. You've got to remember Azerbaijan did beat them in the Euro 22 qualifiers not too far long ago. But they've had a good campaign, disastrous campaign for Azerbaijan. Minus the handicap. The weather forecast in Sweden is -1 and snowing. It's freezing. So that is a factor here as well. And I just think Isak, anytime scorer at minus 110 is your best bet here. I don't see him completing the whole 90 minutes. And when you look at Sporting Lisbon, they play on Friday night in their domestic cup competition. I don't think they'll probably risk Gyökeres for that. But then they have Arsenal in the Champions League. And there may be some agreement that he may feature in only one of these matches. There's always some kind of agreement going on. But if you look at all the news reports, go to Swedish news reports, look at the team news, Gyökeres does not feature in the starting 11. And if he doesn't feature in the starting 11, Isak will go minus 220, minus 230 as soon as that team news announced. Bet Rivers are the best price in the land at minus 110 now. If you look around other sports books, they're minus 150, minus 120 to score at any time. And that, to me, is the bet here, because even with Gyökeres playing as a minus 910 favourite, they're a favourite by 2 goals on the Asian handicap. You expect goals, you expect Swedish goals, and Isak here at minus 110 is probably one of my best bets of the evening this evening. I think it is my best bet of the night, actually, especially if this team news comes true, then we've got to take it. Even if it doesn't, we've got a great shot on someone who's in form, who's scoring goals. So Isak anytime, minus 110, best bet for me on the evening.
Yeah, Charlie agrees with that. Isak anytime, best bet, could go shorter depending on it. Steve Wist wants to know, who do we think is the better striker here, Isak or Gyökeres? I must remember when Gyökeres played for Coventry, I thought he was a bit of a flat track bully. And then he went to Sporting last season, and I started to note who he scored against, and he has scored against all the big boys in Portugal. What that is worth, I'm not quite so sure. I think Isak's real quality, Nigel.
I don't know. I couldn't care less, but I just know one's a better minus 110 and one isn't a better minus $3. I need to be asking Steve Wiss who's the best player, because he analyses these football players. You've got Jack Wright, who's got the full tilt stats. You've got other people who've got all the other stats. I don't do the stats. I look at minus 110 shots and think to myself, well, if 66% of the goal scoring market doesn't play, and the guy is minus 110, he's going to be minus 250 very, very quickly. And even if he does play in a match where they're 2.5 in for 2.5 goals, he's a better minus 110. I wouldn't know who the best striker is. I wouldn't know. I don't look at the analytics of them. I look at purely from the betting stats, and minus 110 Isak here is a good bet for me.
Let us know if you think that one is better than the other. Isak is the play here from Nigel. He's scored in his last 5 games for club and country. He's been banging form. Montenegro, Turkey and Wales, Iceland are all in the same group, of course. We know that Turkey are favourites to gain promotion from this one. Wales need things to go their way to top the section. Turkey are away at Montenegro here, Nigel. They're minus 210 on the money line. We've seen a near 4-figure play on Turkey at minus 185. They're now minus 210 to win away at Montenegro, who've been absolutely dreadful in this particular group. And when you look at Wales, Iceland, they really need Montenegro to do them a favour if they're going to top the section. Iceland have still got a puncher's chance of maybe making the playoffs here. Let's talk about these 2 games next up. Turkey, if you a bit too short now on the money line, or still backable at minus 210? What do you think?
I think they'll win. Would I bet them? Probably not. But there's probably a better angle to bet them at a bigger price than to take the minus 210 on the money line. Like you said, Montenegro have been absolutely shocking. They've lost their last 7 matches. Turkey need the win here to top the group, but Turkey matches have been pretty they've been hit or miss, haven't they? Some of them have been good matches and good wins, and then some of them been disappointing. But if you look at Montenegro, they just don't score goals. They haven't scored in their last 3 internationals. They've only scored 1 in their last 4 internationals, which was at home against Wales. They've lost to 0 in 4 of their last 5 in the qualification here in this group. So that again brings on to the unders again. Heavy rain around again in Montenegro. Plus 107 for under 2.5 goals. The win to 0 is plus 125 for Turkey. I like that. But I was looking at probably a little bit of what better way to get with them is actually to take a couple of correct scores. And I was looking at Turkey to win 1-0 and 2-0 here on the correct score market. I think that's probably the best way to go here. And if you look at 1-0 Turkey, it's plus 650. And 2-0 Turkey is plus 575. And I think if we can just put those down and juice them up, I think that will be my best way to go. So I think a low scoring Turkey win. They have the need. Montenegro are shocking. They're in drastic form, but I think Turkey will get the win here. I wouldn't bet them at minus 225, but I think there's better options. So the win to 0 plus 125, under 2.5 goals plus 107, or the 1 or 2-0 Turkey win. So I'm basically just more or less saying that Montenegro won't score in this match. And I don't see them scoring. They haven't scored. They've only scored 1 in this qualification campaign. They've lost to 0 in almost every single one, 4 of the 5 matches they played. And now they play the group leaders at home who need the win. Montenegro playing for nothing apart from pride. And I'm going to go for Turkey to win a narrow victory, low scoring. And we play whichever way you want. You have 1-0, 2-0, under 2.5 goals, or that win to 0. Every way is better than taking minus 210 on Turkey on the money line.
Yeah, you make a good point about the weather as well, because the pitch in Montenegro for their game against Wales was an absolute shocker. And if it's got even worse weather, it could well go under there. Most of the money has come for Turkey. A lot of the money has come for overs. So it's a counterintuitive play. It's a sort of play that we like on the show. Regarding Isak, Kevin says Isak for me against Jokeres. Ming Chung says Isak, EPL, Bundesliga, La Liga is way harder than the Portuguese league. Giuseppe says I can't trust Turkey at those odds. It's a fair point. What about Wales, Iceland here? I think Wales have been a little bit fortunate. Craig Bellamy's got some good press with sort of limited results for me. I mean, I know they're in the mix to go up. They'll probably make the playoffs, but they could top the group if Turkey falter. I think I might want to be with Iceland here. They know that they know that they need to. You talk about motivation, Nigel. They know that they need to win if they are going to make that playoff pick. They haven't been great, admittedly. But if you want to play them on the Asian line, plus 0.75 at minus 105, are you a fader of Wales, or would you think that they are the value bet here?
I was very surprised to see Wales at minus 167. Yeah. I was very, very surprised to see that being the price they are, especially when you consider that they have big problems scoring goals. I mean, lots of low-scoring matches again. And again, I sound like a broken record here, but I do think the unders come into play in this match as well. I think this will be quite close. I think that, Craig Bellamy will have Wales absolutely pumped up. I was looking at bookings in this match. I think it could be quite an interesting one for bookings. In the Nations campaign so far this season, Wales' 2 home matches. I mean, a 0-0 draw against Turkey, a 1-0 win against Montenegro, and then they drew again 0-0 with Turkey. So they haven't been that exciting. Iceland obviously drew 2-2 with Wales in their reverse fixture, and they just come on the back of a 2-0 win against Montenegro. But in and out, some good. Iceland have been much more entertaining than Wales, actually. But now there's a sort of it's become quite a tactical kind of game, whereas a point will probably do Wales, because I think you've got to look at what's going on in the Turkey match here to determine how you bet on this in play. So if Turkey are leading 1 or 2-0 pretty comfortably with half an hour to go, and this game is drawing, then Wales might be happy for a draw here. No, they know they can't top the group, come in second is their objective. But if Wales are losing, Turkey are losing, then Wales might think they can go for it. So you've got to keep one eye on the Turkey match here to determine how you would bet this match. But my pre-match feeling about this game is I thought the draw looked a big price on the money line at plus 290. I could see where you're going with Iceland on the Asian handicap. Low scoring again. Weather's bad. I mean, it's not under the roof. It's at the Cardiff Stadium, so it's not under a roof here. So the weather's awful again. A lot of rain around that area. The way these two sides, especially Wales, have been playing in the recent weeks, just haven't got a goal threat. So I was looking more again, for another low-scoring match, probably a 0-0, 1-1 draw here. But I do think it all determines what goes on in Turkey. So if Turkey are 2 or 3-0 up, then Wales may just play out a draw here. But if Turkey are losing at Montenegro, then the Welsh will be pumped, and you'll see a very, very different attitude from the Welsh side going into this match. So pre-match, looking for the draw. Pre-match unders brings in a 0-0 or one match. But I do think there's some kind of you've got to keep one eye on the other one as well.
98% of the money on Wales, 98% of the money on overs, but we're fading both goals and Wales. We reckon watch out for in-play action as well with Bet Rivers for this one. Let's move on to the next set of matches. This is Group B1, and this is the group Albania, Ukraine, Czechia and Georgia. 3 points between first and fourth. I was looking at the UEFA website, 9 different scenarios here. Almost all group finishes are possible. This is the one where there's an awful lot of motivation. Albania are plus 220. Ukraine, our favourites, plus 132. Czech Republic minus 115 to beat Georgia at plus 325. Next couple of matches here, Nigel. We'll talk about the Albania-Ukraine game. First of all, this is third against fourth. I mean, this is the one where sort of both teams have to go for it. I think, from a Ukraine point of view, They are bottom of the section. They've got to try and let loose a little bit, I think. Maybe that's why. I don't know why the overs is plus 125. It might be the one that could go overs. How do you see it?
Well, these are the two biggest matches of the night for me, the Albania-Ukraine game, the Czech Republic-Georgia. It's a real international match where so many things are at stake. And they're all really, really, really proud nations, aren't they? They're all feisty nations. Georgia, Turkey, Georgia, Czech, Albania, Ukraine, very, very feisty nations. So when I looked at this match here and I saw one team at the bottom with 5 points, one team at the top with 8 and the two in the middle of 7s, my first thing went straight away for the cards. I thought, Albania v Ukraine could be a real feisty match. You know that the referees the Ukrainian matches have usually been, since what's the troubles in Ukraine, people have usually gone under the bookings in the Ukrainian matches because, they're obviously everyone's second favourite nation in terms of what's been happening to their country. But I think this one here, the Albanians, they won't think about that at all. This will be a real feisty match here. If you look at Albania's recent matches, 0-0, 1-0, 1-0, again, low scoring, again, rain is on the cards here. But I was looking at the bookings. I know Bet Rivers don't offer bookings in certain states, but if you can get a card line in this match here, and the match that means absolutely everything for both these nations, because not only that they can every single one of them can win the group, can second. Everyone has got a possibility of coming in first, second, third, or fourth here in this group. So it's a real interesting two matches here. And I do think what goes on in one match will have a massive effect on the way the other match goes as well. So I think you need to have your tellies on these two to find out what you're going on for. But I do think straight away bookings are cards on both ones. So Albania definitely the cards. Czech Republic against Georgia. 4 of Georgia's 5 matches in this group, again, under 2.5 goals. Georgia currently second. Czech Republic at top. If they get a draw, that might work out it definitely works out for Czechs. The Czechs will want a draw, would be good for them because then that would prevent Georgia burning. But if Albania win, then the Czechs don't top the group. So real interesting matches these. And I think both of them low scoring, quite tight, quite nervy, especially in the first half. But when things happen at the other games, I think things can change massively from the first half to the second half. So my attitude for these matches is to go with caution. Both matches to be drawing at half-time. Very careful, very tactical. Then anything can happen in the second half as we get into the nitty-gritty and determination of points. But I do think the cards and a tight first half is where you want to play here. So, yeah, under a 1 goal first half, draw first half in both of these matches, and definitely not have that go the opposite in the second half, because when they realise what they've got to do, they'll be going all out. So I can see the goal line dropping and then all of a sudden going the other way.
1 or 2 comments that we've got in just to get through 1 or 2 of those. Ginepi says, I like goals in the Wales game. And so Wales can top the group with a big win. Iceland can finish second with a win. I like the overs or both teams to score in that one. Bradley's talking about where is Sensi Dojo. I can't take the inconsistency
hang on a minute.
of the uploads.
Let me tell you one thing. There is no upload. Well, yesterday, let me tell you what happened. So basically, we recorded on a Monday or a Tuesday, the dojo. Yesterday was my dad's 81st birthday. So I had to take my father out for his 81st. I'm still giving him a bump. So we've only got down to 47. We've got another 34 to go. It was my dad's 81st birthday. So I took my dad out for lunch yesterday. And Neil couldn't do in the afternoon. So sometimes, and you've got to remember, Neil moves house every 2 weeks. so it's always impossible to get him tracked down to where he moved. So he actually did one today, and before, just as I recorded this show, John, our producer, sent me the show to send on to Bet Rivers. So hopefully the dojo will be up within an hour or half an hour after this show going live. So that's coming. But the reason we have a lot of stuff in the world.
Listen, when Nigel says that Neil moves house every 2 months, he actually means it.
He does. I know he does. He does. He says he moves. He says he moves house to get betting accounts. That's what he tells me. It's one of the reasons why he does it, to get a different set of betting accounts. It's true.
Shane says, good afternoon to the right there, Fred crew. I don't know who you're talking about there, Shane.
More Mitchell brothers. More Mitchell brothers.
Still in the witness protection. What else have we got here? Ray says, good afternoon, Dan and Nigel. Steve's been back on talking about Georgia, Kvaratskhelia, over 2.5 shots and over 10.5 Georgia match. I quite like Georgia in that one. I know they're the outsiders, but Czechs are still missing Patrick Schick, who could be a big player for them and obviously isn't playing tonight. Kevin says, Arda shot on target. That's in the Turkey game, isn't it? I think he gets involved before returning to the club bench. Yeah, possibly. And Ming says, I tip my hat to the dojo. He's very, very popular. He's very, very good. We have got more games to look at in the Nations League. I mean, the Albania, Ukraine, Czech, Georgia, there'll be brilliant watches tonight. But arguably, this is Group A. We're talking about League A with the other matches on this slate, Nigel, here. Bosnia, Herzegovina against Netherlands and Hungary against Germany. But it's all done and dusted, I think, isn't it, here? Because Germany have won it. Dutch have come second. Hungary third, Bosnia, Herzegovina are going to go back down here. So there's not a lot of jeopardy. And again, it's one of those things where you know that, Ron Koeman, he's not going to play his full strength side for the Dutch away at Bosnia and Herzegovina, who were thumped 7-0 by Germany last time out. So they're difficult games, really, to sort of gauge from the off, aren't they? Any sort of thoughts on Bosnia and Herzegovina against Netherlands and Hungary, Germany?
Well, but they've sent Van Dijk and Frankie de Jong back, haven't they? So they've gone back. So that shows you how Gakpo won't feature as well. So there's a lot of players who are going. This is going to be a Netherlands reserve against a Bosnian side. My first reaction always, and I've said it on the shows we've done on the Premier League shows, when a side has a big defeat, and I might sound like a broken record here, but it go back through statistically, it's the one that always comes through. When a team has a 7-0 defeat, they play for pride, and Bosnia, a pride nation, they'll play for pride, and I always want to go unders. But I was really thinking the line might be 3.5 here. I was staggered that it was 2.5, the line for the goals, and it was only like minus. I think it's like even money, something around about even money on the under. So I think Bet Rivers were there. You see, like I think what is it there? Yeah, plus 120.
Yeah, plus 120. Yeah,
I thought it should be a 3-goal game or a 3.5 goal game. So and especially with an 850 favourite at home against a minus 335 shot. I thought
it's strange, isn't it? That doesn't sit right at all, does it?
Yeah. So I think they're realising now that when these teams do have a bet 7-0, a beat 7-0, they come back with a little bit of pride. The Netherlands have got nothing to play for. So I was really disappointed because I thought that would be a 3.5 goal game, and it isn't. It's a 2.5 goal game. So it changed my way of thinking here. I come into this set of features thinking, well, I'm going to be betting under 3.5, but now the 2.5 line here and under 3.5 is so heavy minus money that I couldn't get involved. I just got a feeling here. If you look at where where the money is going today from a lot of the Asian syndicates, the Asian syndicates are taking both of these on the Asian handicap, especially more the Hungary match. We're going to come to the Hungary match in a minute. So there's a lot of money coming for them. So they just the motivation question. And you know, a lot of these players are going back from Holland and Germany back to their domestic clubs. They're involved in big title races across the Premier League as well. Premier League players, you've got Liverpool players, you've got, Arsenal players, Germany, and especially in their domestic countries as well. That they're not going to put it all in here tonight. And for Hungary and Bosnia, this is an opportunity to get something. So, without any real logic or without anything that I've seen on the tournament so far, I would probably be taking both dogs on the Asian handicap, +2 or +1 3/4 or +1.5, because there is absolutely no reason why the Dutch or the Germans need to put 6 or 7 past these two tonight. There's nothing to play for. Their job is done. And for these two, it's just a damage limitation and to get on with it. So my lean would be more a gut reaction and more sort of what I've seen over the years in these kind of matches. Nothing that the trends, nothing that nothing that anything we've seen in the Nations League suggests, but purely and simply for me, thinking that I've got a feeling. Well, I've got a feeling one of these might not win. I think one of them might be a draw.
Just to back up what you're saying there, I mean, Edin Dzeko was only on the bench for that Bosnia Herzegovina. I mean, he's their talisman. He's their best player ever. And you tend to think, he didn't play. They got beat 7-0. He'll probably come back at home. He'll have a point to prove. I know he's getting towards 40, but he's still effective for Bosnia Herzegovina. So there could be an angle there. As you mentioned, Van Dijk's not going to play for the Dutch. Most of the money's come for the Netherlands. Most of the money's come for unders. Incidentally as well, which is a little bit interesting. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it's short, as you say. And as regards Hungary, Germany, Adam Zalai, the assistant Hungarian coach, who unfortunately collapsed, of course, in that game against Netherlands, but he's okay. And there is a suggestion that he might actually be back in the stadium for this one. Marco Rossi suggested that, but nothing has been said. And from that point of view, Hungary will maybe want to put on a show for him. And again, it's an opportunity for them off the back of a poor performance.
But I remember when Hungary played in the Euros. Remember that Euros when it was the COVID Euros and they went to Hungary? The atmosphere of Hungary was absolutely exceptional. And they played really, really well in those matches. Didn't they play Germany in one of those matches?
They've got a really good record in Nations League games. You remember they beat England. They drew with Germany. They've drawn with the Dutch.
They beat them 4-0 at Wembley.
They've got a really good record in sort of just one-offy games. And you're right, the fans are absolutely fantastic as well. Rick has said Germany to 0. I mean, that might be the case, but I tend to look at the unders for the game nonetheless. Just a slight. Have you got anything else on Hungary, Germany? I'd actually take a little bit of pizza money on Hungary on the money line at plus 650. I would. I just think it's one of them matches that the Germans are just not going to care less. They've done their bit last week with a massive win against Bosnia. They've done what they need to do. They've got the World Cup qualification coming up. Players have huge matches. They've got a break as well domestically. End of the year, feet up, relax, and take it seriously. And I just think it could be a good time to play the Germans. I think Hungary at plus 650 could be a big price. But I think if you're looking at it from a more professional point of view and you're a bigger gambler, I would be taking Hungary plus 1.25 goals or 1.5 goals here. They're not going to get beat by a lot here, these two matches. Meaningless matches, and get with your dogs in both of them. Kimmich, I think he's injured, probably won't play, or he's a doubt. So he's suspended as well. So, some important defensive-minded players. All of them is from Germany, 99% the money, 98% the tickets. And it's a strange one. Again, 71% of the money on unders, but 80% of the tickets on overs. So the pro money's gone under, the rank and file has gone over there. It's a bit of a left field one before we just have a wrap up with the South American stuff. Shane says, quick fire question for you guys. Who wins BBC Sports Personality of the Year? Keely Hodgkinson, 800-metre runner, or Luke the Nuke Littler Darts? Any thoughts on that, Nigel?
Well, Bet Rivers don't bet on it. And the American audience has got no interest in it. And nor have I. Neither have I.
There you go. Short and sweet. We'll get
Jake Paul.
That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? He might get international. Person out of the year. That is the European roundup done and dusted. We'll just get a quick look at what else we've got when it comes to the South American football. Bolivia, Paraguay. Bolivia are short, minus 115 here. We know it's El Alto. They've got this odd record there. So they've only played twice previously, but they've won them both. But it's incredible what they do there, 4,000 meters up in the sky. Paraguay off the back of that Argentina win, plus 420. I mean, Nigel, this is a strange one. What the bettors do with this? Bolivia with this artificial advantage at home in the altitude, but Paraguay off the back of one of their best performances in recent times against a full-strength Argentine side.
I think it's one of those matches that you got a professional play against the public play. And I've seen a lot of people tweeting out this morning about the altitude and tweeting out about, this is a match, but it's not tweeting out that Bolivia are a very average side, a very poor side. And I think it's been factored into the price, massively factored in already. If this was anywhere else, they would be the underdogs for the match, wouldn't they? They wouldn't be the favourites here. So there is some kind of you are taking artificially low odds about what you're being taken, and I'm looking at the pro money. The pro money was for Paraguay here on the Asian handicap. But now, in the last hour or so, it's suddenly coming a little bit more to Bolivia. Bolivia have seen some more money coming their way. I think it's a very difficult one. I really do. everyone says they've only won, they win it. They've only played 2 games. It's not
Yeah.
like they got 202 games, 2 matches. I mean, like, come on, give me. When anyone ever says to me, like, when I've worked in,
it's a small sample size.
Well, I think anything's a small sample size. So when I started working doing my tipping site, Premier Sports Plays, I used to say to people used to ring me up and say, listen, can I get some work with you? And I give me some bets. I wanted at least 300 bets. I wanted a sample of 300 bets to know what they've done, to see what they've done. I think to say they've always win there with 2 matches, I think it's a dangerous tactic. It's a very statistics you can use to your advantage and disadvantage. When it's 2 matches, it's like, well, okay. Luton Town have lost 2 times against Manchester City in the Premier League, and they played 2 times or whatever like that. It's a very dangerous tactic. So I think this is a very, very, very difficult one. I think the line has factored it in hugely. I don't think you're getting any value at -115. You probably might bet a winner. You could bet a winner because the factor in there, but you're not getting a value winner. So for me, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, Bolivia -115. It's just this curiosity since they've moved to El Alto. It's a small sample size, but the other favourites, Paraguay, off the back of a brilliant performance. Colombia, Ecuador are +575. A lot might be backing Ecuador. We know how good Colombia have been recently. Caicedo is back, incidentally, for Ecuador. Colombia are short price favourites. Chile against Venezuela. Venezuela holding that playoff spot at the moment, +320. Never qualified for a World Cup finals. Chile +106. Have been pretty poor in this.
I was looking at Chile when you told me we were doing this stuff, Dan. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not really an expert on the South American football. I think there's so much football out there. I'll tell you the honestly truth, right? Is that I see these guys who come on these shows and they know everything. Their knowledge of football is amazing. But the thing is, I'm 51 years of age. I can't be bothered to look at like South American football and Argentina. I've done my bit. I've done all that when I was younger. I'll just stick to the European football. It's fine for me. But I looked at these Chilean. I looked at Chile and thought, +106. Chile must be. I looked at their record. I mean, they're
shocking.
Absolute free fall. How bad they are.
Haven't won in the last 8.
I backed them to win the World Cup a few years ago. And I started off. I think they beat Brazil. I think in the World Cup they beat Brazil, and I thought we're on a good thing. Absolutely terrible. Now that is awful how bad they are. But that really shocked me. I mean, just how awful they are. But I will bow to your expertise. I'm concentrating on the Nations League, but. I mean, the Bolivia one does interest me, though. That really does. I think to myself,
just from a market point of view, it's interesting. It's just,
it's very interesting.
They are so sort of different. I mean, it reminds me of the plastic pitches when Luton and Oldham used to play, and they used to have such an advantage because no one played on plastic pitches in the UK, and those 2 teams did in the top flight. And it was one of the reasons Oldham stayed up for so long. But eventually, people learn how to play on them. I mean, Steve has said playing in Bolivia is like walking into oh, hang on. I better not go on with this. I should read these comments before I start coming out. Diego says, I'm from Chile. Do not bet on that match. Talking
what's the bet? Listen, we've got a guy here from Chile, right? And he said,
"Come on, Diego.
On the match. Well,
Diego.
You need to tell us, like Diego. We need your help.
Tell us what the
Diego. What is the bet? What do we do? Not bet that match, but what is the bet? We need information from Diego here. Listen, Diego, I can tell you what the weather forecast is in Bosnia, and I can tell you that what's going on in Albania. But I need to know what's going on in Chile. Come on, we need to know what's happening here.
Diego, you've got around about 3 or 4 minutes to tell us the Chile-Venezuela play. I quite like Venezuela, to be honest. I think they've been all right.
Listen, I'd rather, with all due respect, I'd rather listen to Diego than you, mate.
Look, here we go. Hang on. Look, Diego's been back on. Venezuela, draw double chance and under 3.5 goals. Brilliant. Right from our man in Santiago.
Our man in Chile, Diego.
Most of the money has come for Venezuela, incidentally, and most of the money has gone for overs as well. Just a couple of others to look at. I'll get Nigel's just very brief thoughts on whether he believes any of these World Cup qualifiers when it comes to Argentina or Brazil bear any sort of meaning when it comes to the World Cup proper. Because these days, as we know, Nigel, nearly every single team from South America qualifies. They've been given an extra spot because there are more teams involved in the next World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, which will be brilliant, incidentally, in the States. Don't worry about that. Argentina -560. Peru have been awful. They're 18-1. Brazil -148. Brazil have been awful, really. If we're honest, this is not the Brazil that me and you grew up with, Nigel, by any stretch of the imagination. 6 wins in their last 17 matches in all competitions. Can you bet them at minus money against the Uruguay side that beat Colombia last time out with a 101st minute winner from Man United's new superstar, Ugarte? Any thoughts on Argentina and Brazil, and whether you're taking any notice of these games ahead of the World Cup finals, which are still a mile away? Does it mean anything to you?
Well,
Should we look at this form?
If ever I've seen someone plead for a job to go to the World Cup, which would be fantastic, by the way, from Dan Roebuck there, that was one of the best. Yes, I'd be fantastic out there, Bet Rivers. If you're watching, I'll be available for the 6 weeks. So that was brilliant. That was masterstroke. You just got it in brilliantly. With regards to these matches, I think they're difficult, because the other reason why they're difficult is because these sides, there's no, if you could finish fourth in the qualification in South America and you weren't seeded for the World Cup, then they'd be quite important. You know, depending on what pot you go into, they might be important. But all these teams are all seeded. You don't even need to do the qualification. You know, like Argentina are going to be, you know, Colombia be there, Uruguay be there, Brazil going to be there, and it's a little mini league between the rest of the sides. So, you know, I don't know. I really don't know how important they take them at this stage of the season. I really got no idea. But I can imagine, with all the travelling at this time of the year, for these players in South America who play in Europe as well, with the Champions League coming back and, you know, all these big matches, it's the crucial time of the year across Europe. I just can't imagine them really taking it. Like, I can't see them all taking it in. I don't know.
Diego's been back and says Argentina to win and plus 1.5 goals. That's fairly short. I worked out here, if you go Argentina to win to 0 and over 1.5 Argentina goals, you get minus 121 on that one. We had a random bet from our Bet Rivers customer, Thiago Almeida, who's an Argentine midfielder, under 1.5 total shots. He's had $1,000 on that, or near enough, at plus 155. I don't know where people get these shots picks from, but I wish you well. Yeah, Uruguay is going to be interesting for Brazil. I wouldn't back Brazil at minus money. Bielsa's under a little bit of pressure. That was a big win against Colombia very, very late, as we mentioned. They hadn't scored in their previous 4 World Cup qualifiers, but they're on the way to qualify. So, again, it's all about motivation and whether it means anything come the final reckoning for the finals in, 18 months' time, something like that. What else have we got here? Argentina minus 175 for me. That's Ginepi. And Steve says, if England don't win the World Cup, I hope Bielsa does. So, Steve, very much a Uruguay fan. Diego says, Colombia draw double chance and under 3.5 goals. And Celtic says, getting burned on too much to 0 bet. So you're a fan of the to 0? I don't mind it, but it's I mean, we use it, don't we, to bump up the price a little bit.
I love him. I think it's my favourite bet. And I was at Wembley on Sunday, England game, and I bet England to win to 0. They won 5-0. My friend was sitting next to me, and he wanted to bet the same, but didn't want to bet to win to 0. And his logic was to bet England to win half-time, full-time, which lost.
There you
and
go.
They won 5. And he also bet England and under 4.5 goals, which lost. England 1-0. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that go into this kind of stuff, and a lot of, you know, motivation for teams, and, you know, but this time of the season, this time of the year where teams aren't really at it, I think there's a lot of value in, and that's what you got to second guess going into these matches, the motivation for these sides at this time of the season. And I don't think you are going to get. I believe tonight you're going to get some couple of these big minus money favourites turned over, because they're not going to be at the races, and the other sides are going to have got a little bit of an opportunity to showcase their talent. And the all the big nations have got players and squad members who are involved in big matches over the next 2 months or so.
With that in mind, then, final round of Nations League games. It's all done and dusted for a little while tonight. Give us your best play when it comes to the action. Now, if there was one bet,
I'll give you a few. I'm going to give you a few. Isaac to score any time at minus 110 is my best bet for Sweden tonight. I think we might only get 60 minutes to score it, but I think if Gyökeres doesn't play as we're led to believe, we could be on a minus 250 shot before we even take to the pitch. And even if he does play, we're on a minus 110 shot, who's in great form, scored his last 5 matches. So Isaac tonight, minus 110 for Sweden, who are minus 910 favourite at home to Azerbaijan. That would be my best bet of the night. I'm going to go for Turkey to win 1-0 and 2-0 against Montenegro. Montenegro don't get beat by a lot, and I think Turkey need to win 1-0, 2-0. I'm going to go for Albania and Ukraine under 2.5 goals, and the bookings. I think there's a load of the bookings in that one. And Czech Republic, Slovakia to win to 0. I think that's a good bet, minus 125. And finally, an outsider, I'm going to go for Hungary to beat Germany, plus 650. And just for a bit of pizza money, I just don't think Germany will win that by. They've done the 7-0 bit. They've done everything. Hungary at home, not great weather. I think this could be a shot there. So Hungary plus 650 is a little bit of a pizza money lean. But my best bet is that.
Is it just one final thing with strategies like this? You always think to yourself, "I'll back teams on the Asian handicap. I'll get plus 1.5, plus 175." But you're gutted if you leave all the money out there. If Hungary do win at like plus 650, and all you've done is the Asian handicap, you don't know whether you'll laugh or cry with something like that, Nigel.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of time that you get it right, and it's 0-0 going into the last 10 or 15 minutes, and they concede 2 goals late on. If I'm betting something at minus 110 on the Asian handicap, there I have the tendency is I'm having a bigger bet than I'm betting something on the money line at plus 650. So if I've got it right and got the read at 650, I may then I don't do it, but other people they may have the opportunity to trade out and take the cash out of the position. On the Asian handicap, you can't cash out. You're in the Asian handicap unless you're betting with the Asian bookmakers or you haven't got a cash out option with Bet Rivers. You haven't got you've got to play clever and bet other permutations. But we got the cash out button on the money line here at plus 650. I just think every stat and everyone will be telling me in the comments I'm an absolute fool, but this time of year, nothing to play for, bad weather around, team's already qualified. There's going to be a shock tonight, and why not let it be Hungary plus 650? Have a little bet.
Yeah, we hope that the dogs are going to be barking tonight. Diego says minus under 2.5 for the Germany game. Ming says win to nil is one of the best value potential bets. And Diego back on minus 2.5 goals for Germany pays 1.5 to 1, 6 to 4, plus 150 in American money. Les says Big Angie's the new Bielsa at Spurs these days. Good luck today, says Celtic. Good luck to everyone having a punt. Good luck to Nigel and all of the Bet Rivers viewers who are having a play tonight, Nations League and the World Cup qualifiers. We are back tomorrow. Who's on the agenda tomorrow? Who's in the hot seat?
Simon Holden. Simon Holden is back tomorrow.
Simon Holden. Well, do you know what? I expect some significant upswing in viewers. So I think we could get a new world record tomorrow. Don't you think, Nigel?
Yeah, but the wrong end of the charts rather than the top end of the charts.
Enjoyed your company as ever, Nigel. Brilliant stuff. Many thanks to everyone who's tuned in today. We've gone a little bit long, as we were always going to do with Nigel, the top man on the show. We will speak again tomorrow. Have a good one tonight.